The entire restaurant seemed to freeze the moment the wine left the glass. Not spilled, not slipped, but poured with intention, like judgment being delivered in liquid form. The red wine arched through the golden light of the chandelier, slow enough for some to notice, yet fast enough that no one could stop it. And at the center of it all, an elderly man in worn, faded clothing sat completely still for half a second too long. Then the wine hit him. A sharp splash erupted across his gray hair, dripping down his forehead, soaking into his collar. The room reacted instantly, gasps, chairs shifting, a plate almost slipping from a waiter's hands. But the loudest sound wasn't the chaos. It was her voice. "Get out," the woman said coldly. She stood in a dark green evening dress that clung to her figure like authority itself. Elegant, controlled. But her face told a different story. Sadness buried under anger, like she had been holding it in for too long and finally let it rot into rage. Her arm remained extended. The empty wine glass trembled slightly in her hand, and her finger, sharp, accusatory, was pointed directly at the old man. "You don't belong here," she added, her voice steady but shaking at the edges. The old man blinked through the wine dripping into his eyes, then slowly, painfully, he raised both hands, not in defense, in surrender. I'm sorry," he whispered. His voice cracked like dry wood. Tears formed almost instantly, cutting through the wine on his cheeks. "Please, I didn't mean any disrespect." The words were weak, broken, the kind of apology spoken by someone who had apologized too many times in life without ever being heard. But what made the room go colder wasn't his voice. It was the way he said it, like he expected this treatment, like humiliation was familiar. A waiter in a black vest stood nearby, frozen mid-step, a plate of carefully prepared food hovering near his chest. His mouth was covered by his hand, eyes wide with disbelief, as if his brain couldn't decide whether to intervene or disappear. Behind him, a woman in a black dress had already pulled out her phone, recording. Another guest whispered something under their breath, but no one moved forward. Not yet, because something about the woman in green didn't invite interruption. She didn't look chaotic. She looked decided. The old man coughed softly, wine dripping from his beard onto the floor. I just wanted a warm meal," he said, voice barely audible. "I didn't know I wasn't allowed to sit here." That sentence hit something strange in the air. Not pity, not outrage, but confusion. A silent question forming in multiple minds at once. Why is no one stopping this? The woman's chest rose sharply. For a second, her expression wavered, just slightly. Sadness tried to surface, but anger buried it again. "You don't understand," she said, quieter now. "People like you don't just walk into places like this and pretend you belong." Her words were sharp, but not confident. More like rehearsed pain, like she had said them before, or had been taught to believe them. The old man slowly lowered his hands. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, something changed. Not in the room, in him. There was no anger, no resentment, only disappointment. Deep, tired disappointment. "I see," he said softly. That was it. Just 2 words. But they carried something heavier than the wine soaking his clothes. The woman's grip tightened on the glass. "Don't look at me like that," she snapped suddenly, louder this time. "You think I'm cruel? You think I enjoy this?" Her voice cracked on the last word. A flicker of something human broke through. But before anyone could process it, a new voice entered. Calm, controlled, professional. "Ma'am." The waiter had finally spoken. He lowered the plate slightly, still visibly shaken. I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said carefully. The woman turned her head sharply. "What misunderstanding?" she fired back. The waiter hesitated, then looked at the old man again. Something in his expression shifted, confusion turning into recognition, but not certainty. "I've seen him before," the waiter murmured. The room went quieter. The old man's fingers tightened slightly on the edge of the table. A pause. A strange one. Not dramatic, not loud, just loaded. The woman let out a short laugh, cold and sharp. "Seen him before?" she repeated. "He looks like he sleeps outside." A few guests shifted uncomfortably. The person recording zoomed in. The old man lowered his gaze, and that was when it happened. A phone rang, not a guest's, not the waiter's, but from somewhere deeper inside the restaurant. A sharp, authoritative ringtone cut through the tension like a blade. The waiter froze. The woman paused. Even the old man looked up slightly. From behind the reception area, a staff member rushed out, holding a sleek black phone with both hands. "Sir," he said urgently, scanning the room. "Sir, we have a situation." The woman frowned. "What is it now?" she snapped. The staff member didn't look at her. He looked past her, at the old man. His voice dropped. "We just received confirmation from headquarters." The restaurant fell into absolute silence. Even the hum of the lights felt too loud. The old man slowly lifted his head, wine still dripping, eyes tired, waiting. The staff member swallowed hard and said the words no one in that room expected. "The owner is on site." The woman blinked. Once, then laughed nervously. "That's impossible," she said immediately. "The owner is in another city." The staff member shook his head slowly. "No, ma'am," he said. Then he pointed, directly at the man soaked in wine. "He's already here." The air collapsed. Every sound disappeared at once. The woman's expression shifted. Confusion first, then disbelief, then something far worse. Recognition, slow, horrifying, unwanted. The old man finally spoke again. His voice was no longer weak, just tired. "I told them I wanted to visit quietly," he said. He looked at the floor for a second, then back at her. "I didn't expect this kind of welcome." The woman's hand trembled. The glass slipped slightly in her grip, and for the first time since the scene began. She didn't look angry. She looked afraid. No one moved. Not the guests, not the waiter, not even the woman in green. The word owner didn't just land in the room. It settled like something heavy enough to pin everyone to their seats. The elderly man slowly reached for a napkin and wiped the wine from his face. His movements were calm, almost deliberate, like the chaos around him no longer had permission to touch him. The woman took a small step back, then another. Her earlier confidence was gone, stripped away so fast it felt unreal, like it had never existed at all. That can't be true," she whispered again, but her voice lacked force now. It sounded more like a plea than a denial. The staff member bowed his head slightly. "I confirmed it myself," he said quietly. "The board sent the alert 10 minutes ago. He didn't use the front protocol. No escorts, no announcement." A pause. Then he added, almost regretfully, "He wanted to see how the hotel operates, without preparation." The old man finally looked up at her. Not angrily, not proudly, just clearly. And that clarity was worse than anger. "You handled me like I was nothing," he said softly. The woman's lips parted, but no words came out. Behind them, a guest lowered their phone recording halfway, unsure if they should still continue. The waiter stepped back like the air itself had turned unsafe. The old man continued, his voice steady but tired. "I've spent years building places like this. Not just buildings, but standards, rules, dignity." His eyes drifted across the room. "And I came here today hoping it still meant something." His gaze returned to her. "But you didn't see a guest." A pause. "You saw someone you were allowed to humiliate." The woman's hand shook visibly now. The wine glass finally slipped from her fingers, but it didn't shatter. A waiter caught it just before it hit the floor. The sound of that small rescue echoed louder than anything else. Her knees almost gave way. I I didn't know, she said quickly. He wasn't on the list, I thought. You thought what? He interrupted gently, not harshly. That was what made it worse. You thought dignity has a dress code? Silence again, thicker this time. The woman's eyes filled, but she didn't let the tears fall. Not yet. Her pride was still fighting even though it was already losing. The old man exhaled slowly. I didn't come here to destroy your career, he said. That sentence made her look up quickly, hope flickering for the first time. I came here to understand your decisions. A pause. But now I understand something else. He turned slightly toward the staff. Cancel my reservation for the rest of the week. The staff froze. And suspend tonight's shift manager, he added calmly. The woman's breath caught. Sir, please, she tried, stepping forward. He raised a hand gently, not in anger, in finality. You will not be fired today, he said. Relief flickered across her face for half a second. Then he finished the sentence. But you will learn what it feels like to be unseen. That silence that followed was different. Not shock, not fear. Something heavier. Understanding. The old man adjusted his coat slightly, though it was still damp with wine. Then he walked past her. Slowly, without looking back. Each step echoed like a decision that couldn't be reversed. And for the first time since it began, no one stopped him. If you were in that restaurant, would you have spoken up or stayed silent like everyone else? Drop your answer in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more untold stories like this.